Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. We're in episode 10 of season 6. It's called The Higher the Hair, the Closer to God, because Angie, feeling bad for Britney, gives everybody high body count hair. I feel like I have high body count hair right now as well. The description that Peacock gives us says, Whitney throws a high body count surprise party in honor of Britney, who is touched. What a weird description. Listen, we just talked about Peacock a lot. Peacock needs to be better at their descriptions. Who cares if Britney is touched? There are so many other things that had happened in this episode. Mary Cosby's church Rio. We had the season premiere of Mary Cosby's church, for the love of God. We had Bronwin and Todd getting into some weird conversation where she seemed to see like, we can totally open up the relationship, Todd. I mean, just Lisa Barlow and John Barlow having a very tense, awkward conversation. So this high body count hair, while it was fun, was not, to me, the driving force of this entire episode. My God, we had Jared Osmond, for the love of God. Jared Osmond, there was one shot of him where I was like, am I watching Fear with Mark Wahlberg? I mean, it severely scared me. I was like, is this Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver? What is happening? Sorry if the sound sounded a little weird for the last couple of minutes. It never gets easier podcasting, folks. It is, I'm not James Cameron over here. Sometimes it sucks with these Apple computers. I love them to death, but you have to, like, how I do this, I said I have an AirPod in one ear and I will play the episode in my ear while I talk about it, which I know sounds pretty much insane, but it helps me from having to fully transcribe every line like I used to. But you'll have to switch over the audio input and output. And sometimes, being a goof, I forget to do that. And then I realize it's picking up the AirPod microphone. Isn't that fun to see? Did that ruin it, to hear how the sausage was made? Anyways, we start off with clips from previous episodes that, of course, ended with last week's scene where Meredith and Mary met, and Meredith was like, I was a little in my feelings, but it was nothing crazy. And Mary's like, Meredith. I've been thinking about that whisper, the Meredith whisper from Mary Cosby all week. Meredith, Meredith, Meredith. I want that to be my ringtone. So that's where we ended it, because there's this whole whatever happened in this airplane mystery. We start off at Whitney's house, and Heather Gay's pulling up to the house, and she comes in, and Whitney's already like, hey, do you smell something weird? And Heather's like, it smells like poo. And Whitney goes, I opened up a veggie tray. Broccoli in a veggie tray, and also Justin took a shit last night in the kitchen. It smells like shit. And Heather's like, yeah, let's get rid of the broccoli. And she goes, I did. I threw out the broccoli. And Heather's like, it smells like somebody dropped a deuce. I took it out to garbage. Whitney in a talking head goes, when my friends are sad and feeling down, I like to have it smell like poo. No, she goes, I take on the personal mission to cheer them up. And so they brought they kind of did like this little potluck thing. And when he goes, so I planned a surprise potluck. And I saw somebody make a TikTok today, said they were like offended about a potluck because Housewives are about elegance and would Heather Dubrow ever do this? I'm sorry. Like, once OC becomes an amazing show again, then listen, I will take a potluck on Salt Lake City every day instead of a 40,000 sushi dinner over at Heather Dubrow's house. It's all about content. Listen, we already got great content out of this potluck already. It smells like shit in Whitney's house. They should have this episode be like a scratch and sniff. Like, my God. So Whitney's like, we're doing this in honor of Britney. And then Angie comes in and Heather's like, chirps. And Angie, of course, is already carrying a Greek flag. And she's wearing her big windshield wiper sunglasses, which Angie Katsanevis in our live spot on Peacock told me about. She showed me the glasses. They are made in Italy, Italia sunglasses. And I like that I like that these sunglasses, I swear to God, these sunglasses are bigger than my windshield. And Angie's like, I brought my famous Greek dish. And she has like a little Greek flag, and Angie says, I've not always seen eye to eye with Britney, but I do have a heart, and seeing Britney so hurt, I couldn't help but feel sorry for her. So when Whitney told me about the potluck, I was totally on board, and I had a great idea. And I have to tell you, like, listen, you don't want people feeling bad for you, but for Britney, what a great way to turn a supposed tragic event into something good for you, because these ladies have treated Britney like a second-class citizen, and I'm not saying they're wrong to treat her like that, but sometimes when you have a bad situation, you can turn that into something good for you. I mean, they're literally doing this because they all feel so bad for her. And remember, all of these ladies, for the most part, they've all made fun of Britney as well. So now they're on board. Whatever Meredith did was so bad that they're now throwing her a potluck. I was hoping Meredith would treat me bad this weekend so they would do something for me. Angie goes, I know I've made fun of Britney. How fun and how excited would she be if we tried to recreate the look, the high body count look with all of her spray? And Heather's like, I'm in. I'm in. Just make me look cool for once. And then Angie goes, well, it's kind of like the hair you have, Heather, but fuller, right? And then even Mary Cosby there. Mary Cosby's like, what's up? What's up? And when he's like, you look beautiful, Mary Cosby. And so now Angie's teasing on the hair, like, you look so good. You're going to love it. You just look like Britney at the bar mitzvah. And we flash back to Meredith's bar mitzvah. Yeah, I can't believe those words came out of my mouth from last season, where Britney's like twirling around going, oh. By the way, Brittany Bateman, I reached out to her. She's doing a live stream. She's doing a one-woman cabaret in New York in a couple weeks, which, if we weren't pregnant right now, I would go. I seriously would go. But there's just no way that would be cool right now. And that wouldn't really be, but I want to, but they're going to live stream it. And I think I might buy it. I think I might buy the live stream, and maybe we'll do a Patreon episode or something, because I've got to get my eyes on Brittany's one woman show. I've got to see this. Countess Luann, you got competition coming, because Brittany can actually sing. She sang during the Salt Lake City panel, and she's obviously got an amazing voice. But I reached out to her to get an interview, and I think I might. You guys, everybody reach out to Brittany Bateman today and say she needs to come on so bad it's good. Because I genuinely would love to promote her cabaret. I want to know what is her artistic process. Anyways, Bronwin is getting her hair teased, and she's got like this big old hair in the middle. I got to tell you, I am so in love with Bronwin's facial reactions. She always has this kind of like, I like when she gets like kind of befuddled or surprised or horrified. She has like her mouth half open, and she's like, ah, I love it. I don't know. For some reason, I've seen her do it so many times when Meredith waterbended on the Below Deck episode. And if you freeze frame it, Bronwyn's face is just like, ah, it's so funny. And then Heather's like, no wonder Britney does her hair like this. This is fun. And everybody's hair is insane. But Mary's like, she's not going to touch my hair. She's not going to touch my hair. Whitney looks like a rooster. And Angie's like, at least the hairspray covers the broccoli farts. And then they do a shot of Mary, because Mary's obsessed with farts. And Mary's just like, don't you be talking about farts again, Angie K. I was expecting Todd to pull up, I didn't do these farts. I'm sorry, you can't blame me on these farts. I was not making out with people while they were farting. So Brittany's there, and they're going to do a surprise. And they're all hiding under the kitchen island, and Brittany's walking up to the door, and Mary Cosby's like eating cake ferociously before they have to hide. And Brittany's like, nobody's answering the door. And Whitney goes, I'm going to send a message, so she's going to walk straight in, because we're surprising her, so I can't answer the door. And so Brittany gets the message back, and Whitney's like, I'm in the back, just walk in. And Brittany walks in and sees that nobody is there. What is going on? Is this another hazing ritual by these Salt Lake City gals? And she's looking around. Whitney? And then they all jump out with high body count hair. And Brittany Eunice already is like, is this high body count hair? She calls it immediately. Oh my God, do you guys have my whore hair? Is this my whore hair? Oh my God, you made the whore hair that you made fun of me. And they're all like, we're Britney's tribute band. And Britney's like, oh my God, I love this. You know when somebody needs something, you're like, Britney needed this. In a talking head, she's like tearing up. I'm so touched. Not like the Jared Osmond touch. It's the good touch. And then Brittany goes, I often say ding, 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 ding with my glass. What about me? You know how I always say that? And we flash to all those times that she does things like that. But guess what, Brittany says? Today is all about me. Yay! And they all cheers. And Brittany's like, this is exactly what the doctor ordered for me. That and probably 5 years of therapy is to have all the support from the women that I love. I mean, does she really love these women? I just wonder. I know this is real, but like at the same time, they've been in each other's lives for about like a year and a half now. And I know when you're on a reality show, like knowing somebody for a year on a reality TV show is like knowing them for 5 years, I would imagine. Like it's like you're going to war together. And I also want to know, because Britney looks like she's been crying in every scene since this airport. Like, have you noticed that? She looks like she's been crying again. And obviously, the lady has a lot going on. We had that very touching scene with her daughter. We have the Jared Osmond stuff. We have Meredith, allegedly, doing something crazy on a plane. But Bronwin takes her over to, I want to show you something, Britney. This is a mobile teddy bear station. And Britney's like, oh my gosh. You can pick whichever one you would like me to replace your unicorn with. In a talking head, Bronwyn's like, Britney and I have not had, a long, happy history. It sounds like she really went through something on the plane, and I might have literally kicked it off by kicking the stuffed animal overboard. Remember when Meredith and Bronwyn threw over Uni when they were in their inflatables? Good night, baby. I love you. And Bronwyn's like, we're all going to make these and make a recording of our own for you. I can begin to make amends. I hope that half-assed recording of the bear will just skyrocket me to the top of her list of favorite people like it did for Jared. By the way, I did meet Jared Osmond with Courtney from Two Judgy Girls, and Courtney's just like, I don't want to take a picture with Jared, but I was like, we got to take a picture with Jared. And I talked about, that we got a Uni stuffed animal for our baby girl. It's her first stuffed animal. That was gifted to me by Nick and Amy Duffy. So happy about this. And my baby daughter's potentially horrified when she finds out that this actually did happen. But Jared was like, yeah, we I'm a big fan of Build-A-Bears. We got them for all the kids back in the day, So Bronwyn really did spring for this whole Build-A-Bear workshop. And then Mary goes, Britney, maybe go away so you can hear it later. So they're going to build the bears. And so now they send Britney away. I love Mary's like, now leave. And so there's Jeff from Teddy Bear Mobile helping them build their bears. And Mary Cosby's watching the bears get created. And it's kind of like God with creation. And she's like, look how cute that one is. Oh, and in the bathroom, Britney is actually making her own high body count hair. In a sense, Britney is her own Build-A-Bear workshop. She's creating the high body count Britney stuffed animal, and she's really teasing the hair. Britney comes back out, and she is getting presented with all of the bears. And, they're like, listen to the messages. And Britney's like, okay. And she's picking each one of their stuffed animals that were made and listening to them. And Whitney's message in the bear is, Britney, you are so strong and courageous, and I'm sorry about the broccoli farts. And then Whitney's like, I love you so much, moi. And Britney's like, oh my God, no way. And then the next one, Angie's is like, and it's Greek. And Angie K says, I said, Britney, you have beautiful hair, and I love you. In Greek. And Britney's like, oh. And the next one is Jen Shaw. I'm going to escape prison next week and be back on the show, Britney. You better watch out. No, the next one is from Heather Gay. I love you, and I'm so glad we're friends. And Britney, if you're listening to this by any stretch of the imagination, I'm willing to take some of these off your hands for American money. Like, seriously. Or even like Bitcoin. I don't have any Bitcoin, but we could do it like, anyways, I would buy, and just pick the one you like the least, or the cast member you like the least. I'll buy that one. Could you imagine that? Getting one of Britney's Build-A-Bears? Hair loss isn't just about hair. It's about how you feel when you look in the mirror. Hims helps you take back that confidence with access to simple, personalized care that fits your life. Hims offers convenient access to a range of prescription hair loss treatments with ingredients that work, including chews, oral medications, serums, and sprays. Doctor-trusted, clinically proven ingredients like finasteride and minoxidil can stop further hair loss and regrow hair in as little as 3 to 6 months. You shouldn't have to go out of your way to feel like yourself. Hims brings expert care straight to you with 100% online access to personalized treatment plans that put your goals first. No hidden fees, no surprise costs, just real personalized care on your schedule. Think of Hims as your digital front door that gets you back to your old self with a simple 100% online access to trusted treatments for real health concerns all in one place. For simple online access to personalized and affordable care for hair loss, ED, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/sobad. That's hims.com/sobad for your free online visit. hims.com/sobad. Individual results may vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. Featured products include compounded drug products with the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information. And now Bronwin's, "You're a star, Britney." And Bronwin's like, "I tried to sound like Jared." And then Heather turns to Mary. "Mary, tell us what you recorded." And Mary goes, "No, she can hear it." And then Brittany pushes Mary's bear, and it's just silence. Just silence. And Bronwin's like, "What did it say, Mary?" And Mary goes, "Nothing, nothing." And Bronwin's like, "At least it's not a negative recording, Bronwin." But we all laugh. In a talking head, Mary goes, the producer goes, "Are you finally warming up to Britney?" And Mary goes, No. I'm going to be honest. On the boat, I had a problem with her." And we had a flashback to the boat in a scene that we didn't see on one of these episodes where they're at lunch. And Mary goes, "Britney, you're not cool. You're not cute." And Britney pointing her finger at Mary saying, "You're the least Christ-like person I have ever met in my entire life." And Mary Cosby's going, Okay. I can't believe that scene didn't make it to the initial cut. But Mary says, "I'm being cordial to Britney because what Meredith did wasn't okay." Anyways, Britney blows a kiss to Mary, goes, "I love you too. I love you too." Oh, gosh. And then when he goes, "Let's cheers to high body count hair. Yay." And yeah. This actually turned out good for Britney. And Whitney goes, "I see a core of women that I can respect and trust right here, and I feel safe with, even though our hairs all look like raccoons. Meredith absolutely crossed a line, and that's going to be really hard for me to come back from. Yeah." And Bronwyn's like, "Meredith reached out to me, and she said, I don't know what they're talking about." And Britney's like, "What, zoinks? She told me she never spoke directly to you. She was having a loud conversation with Lisa about you." So already we know that Meredith has told Bronwyn none of this is true. And Mary's like, "She told me the same thing." And Bronwyn's like, "She said I was mad at Britney. I was saying awful things about Britney, but she had headphones on. She shouldn't eavesdrop on my conversation." I love that. It's Britney's fault that her, the noise-canceling headphones didn't work, and that Britney was actually eavesdropping. Meredith going, "You fucking bitch, fuck you, fucking Britney." Whitney goes, "I thought she was crazy for the screaming. This takes it to a whole nother level of delusion." And then Bronwyn's like, "She said that Lisa did nothing to you." And Britney's like, wow. Britney in her head thinking, are they going to take back the Bears? Wow. And Heather says, "I think Lisa is completely fucking crazy." But it's also funny because Heather's saying this with high body count hair and looks completely fucking crazy. And Heather goes, "And she said she's not going to be responsible for anything." And when he goes, "When did you talk to Lisa, Heather Gay?" And Heather goes, "Yesterday." And when he goes, "Zoinks? What?" Yeah, I was sitting at a table and she was rewriting history. She was telling a completely different version than what I physically saw. And I think that she is trying to force me to believe her version of what happened. And I still think they're both in the wrong. But at the end of the day, when I was sitting there with her, I just thought, we have history, we have shared experiences and things that just make me want to ride hard for them. But I can no longer do that if they cannot acknowledge. And Mary goes, change. Change is the word you're looking for, Heathergate. Change. But they have to acknowledge what they did was wrong and that they make amends with you. They got to make bears for you as well, Britney. And Mary goes, that's the only way that this is change. And Heather goes, it might take all of us saying that's not what happened. In a talking head, Britney goes, if there is no accountability taken by either of them, there's no moving forward with either of them. I love Britney playing the long game. She's going to get Lisa and Meredith kicked off this show. Whitney goes, Bronwin, are you comfortable if I open up this right now because I'm making an observation? And Bronwin's like, you can say what you want to say, Whitney. I noticed you're not wearing your wedding ring. And Britney goes, what? And Heather goes, on purpose? And Bronwyn's shaking her head. Whitney knows Todd left the house for a couple of days after we came back from Barbados. We both talked about swinging, Whitney and I. And they're all like, why? Oh, no. There were tweets, Heather. There were tweets. Somebody saw him on a plane and he had a photo on his phone. And Whitney goes, he was looking at girls or something. I keep thinking about this because I imagine Todd sits in first class. I've only sat in first class, I think, like 2 or 3 times in my life. And I'm just trying to think of I guess when I'm in first class, I'm not looking around, looking at what other people's phones are, but it's really also hard. So was he looking at it on his iPad? How big is his phone? Is it one of those iPhone Pro Maxes? How would you notice? You'd have to be behind Todd. And what, I mean, I also don't know what kind of photos. Are we talking was it a porn site? Was it what was he looking on Instagram? What kind of photos are we talking about here, right? Because I got to tell you, my lock screen on my phone is Lisa Rinna. And it's been, I'm not joking. Wait, let me hold this up to you guys for watching on YouTube. This is my lock screen. It's been my lock screen on my phone for over a decade. And it's Lisa in that iconic moment from Beverly Hills when it's were you doing coke in the bathroom? That's this moment. And I've had it on my phone for over a decade. And I don't even think anything about it. And sometimes people will see the lock screen and be like, is that what I think it is? I'm like, you're damn right. But I would love to get some sort of comment of Ryan was looking at girls on his phone. It's just Lisa Rinna on my lock screen. So, yeah, I guess he was looking at girls or something. And they're like, oh, no, Bronwin. Oh, gosh. I love the piano music in the background. It's like ding, 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 ding. And Bronwin says, instead of Todd just saying it's not a big deal, here's what happened. I'm an idiot for looking at girls in public. He's really defensive. Really defensive. And I was exhausted. And when he goes, he gaslit her, ladies. I was done. And I was like, you gots to go. You gots to go, Todd. You will fart in somebody else's room. Heather says, I feel terrible for Bronwin. Last year, she opened up to all of us about the vulnerabilities in her marriage. And we flash back to last year's episode on the boat where Bronwyn's like, Todd works 3,000 miles away from me for 5 days a week. So there is always going to be a lump in the back of my throat because there was iPad infidelity. That's what he was looking at things on iPads, and her daughter saw it, remember? But Heather says this doesn't seem to be improving between them. And Heather goes, so do you want time or are you done? And Bronwyn says, I haven't spoken to him for a few days. He was texting me and wanting to talk. And I said I wanted time, so I stayed with that. What embarrasses me is the humiliation and secrecy around it. And things have to change. Have we ever seen a fun, loving scene between Todd and Bronwyn? I mean, we just seem to see the most insane scenes where Todd's eating her cherries or he's dressing up like Muzzy. I mean, we've just seen some really negative scenes between the two. But have we ever seen a fun, loving scene? And I would predict, usually on these shows, you'll notice that they will try to soften somebody if they've really showed a harsh element of them because they want to be able to have people continue to watch them. And I would imagine the same with Muzzy as well, is that you need to lighten the character or show why they're together in the first place, unless it's just completely at this point, you know, that nothing good will come of this relationship. I would imagine we're going to see some softer side of Todd eventually. Not this episode, but Bronwin says, it's not a marriage-ending conversation, but it is a life-changing conversation for me. To be able to say, this isn't working and I want a different thing. Todd and I don't have any arrangement of any kind, but if Todd wanted one, or I wanted one, I think we're both adults and we would talk about it. I would let him poke Whitney when he's like, stop talking about me like I'm not here. But she says this very matter-of-factly, and Whitney goes, it's like reinventing. Of course, it's like reinventing like I do. And then Britney goes, if you get rid of some of those rings, Bronwin, can I have one? And Bronwin's like, yes, you can. I would, no fucking way. Our first commercial break. So our next scene is with Mary Cosby and Robert Jr., 21 years of age, a young kid that's already gone through so many hardships, some obviously of his own making. And they are at Mary's Faith Pentecostal Church for the grand reopening, and it's all done now. It all looks good. I love that mom and son are both matching, like they're both wearing red shirts and kind of like white outerwear. And I was like, did they plan that? Mary in a Talking Head says that their church has been in their family for 60 years. And this will be the first time we renovated it, Mary says. The renovations took over 2 years. So opening these doors is like opening a new home, she says. And there is no place like home, Mary says. And so Mary's like, the blinds are good and the golden arches look good. And she says, I'm just trying to see if there's anything that's wrong. And remember a couple episodes ago, she was, saying all of the things that were wrong. There were like nails hanging out of some of the benches. He's like, oh, yeah, there sure is some nails. What if I had to get a tetanus shot because I was at Mary's church? And Robert Jr. always kind of slurs a little bit. He's like, you're just a natural interior designer. And Mary's like, I don't know. Sometimes I can be very critical. I haven't seen that from Mary Cosby. So now they sit in their seats and see how it's going to feel. And they're sitting on the stage, looking out at the church. And Mary says, where are you spiritually right now? And you know how Robert Jr. always has that smile on there, that kind of vacant smile. And he says, when I went to Malibu, which is, I'm assuming, the rehab center, they had these AA things, these meetings about like having a higher power. I already knew who my higher power was, he tells his mom. A lot of people were struggling with that. They're powerless. They need a higher power. They need God. And Mary says, I feel like that if you don't have that higher help, you're still going to be back in that same dark circle that you're trying to come out of. In a Talking Head, Mary says, we're in the midst of Robert trying to find his destination, or we're trying to find wherever his journey goes. So opening these church doors will help Robert and whoever else is in need, she says. Robert says, all the people that I was like cool with, they all relapsed. I mean, this is what I'm talking about like you'll get hit with these high body count hair scenes, and then you'll have this scene that smacks you right down into the reality of this life where, there is addiction out there, and especially in terms of drug addiction, how often people relapse, and that it's so deadly serious because people really do lose their lives to this, whether they even believe in a higher power or not. So Mary's taking this in, what he just said, and Mary's like, did you tell him to pray? Did you tell you still can? And he goes, no, because I don't like forcing it down people's throats. And Mary's like, yeah, you won't. Just drop the little bug in there. Sometimes people need it, You never go dark where you think you can't change something, because you know that with God, nothing is impossible. These are these scenes, man, like it's so interesting. I always think about God just obviously because of my mom, and she had such a strong belief in her faith, and it gave her great comfort towards the end of her life. Not that last week of her life, but overall. And I grew up in the Catholic Church, and I was an altar boy, and I all of that stuff. And I'm familiar, very familiar with the Bible, and I don't know, and I do believe. I will say this. This is so stupid and sappy, like I usually get, but watching my daughter's heart on that monitor yesterday, and just watching the design, we're counting the fingers and the toes and seeing the skeletal structure, and just what an insane design that our human bodies are. And you're watching the different valves of the heart beat, and you're just like, my God, wow. Like this can't all be an accident. I mean, it can be, but what an accident, right? What an accident. And weirdly enough, I think I mentioned this, and I'll probably talk a little bit more about this on the Patreon. I had a very intense conversation about religion with Gretchen and Slade, of all people, from Orange County. And different sects of religion, because, they're Christian. My sister's Christian, but my mom was Catholic. And I've been lucky enough to have been around a lot of religions in my life, including the Mormon religion. When I moved to Arizona, I had a lot of Mormon friends, or the Jewish religion because of my fiance. And it is one of those lifelong mysteries. And you see how much also comfort it gives, but also how much pain it brings, and how religion. I'm at BravoCon right now, and I got clothing from Quince with me. I have this beautiful black top. I've got this amazing jacket. Quince came through once again. Now, we're in that kind of season of cold mornings, holiday plans, and this is when you kind of want your wardrobe just to be simple. Stuff that looks sharp, feels good, and things that you will actually wear. For me, that's Quince. And the bonus, Quince pieces make great gifts too. This season's lineup is simple but smart and easy with Quince. $50 Mongolian cashmere sweaters that feel like an everyday luxury, and wool coats that are equal parts stylish and durable. Their denim nails the fit and everyday comfort, all at a fraction of what you'd expect to pay. By partnering directly with ethical factories and top artisans, Quince cuts out the middlemen to deliver premium quality at half the cost of other high-end brands. So you can give the luxury quality pieces without the luxury price tag. Give and get timeless holiday staples that last this season with Quince. Go to quince.com/sobad for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/sobad. Free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/sobad. And especially religious organizations, how sometimes they don't have I feel like they don't have God's word in their heart, and it's like a money-making venture. Anyways, sorry to go off on that tangent. I'll get back to this. Anyways, Mary's like, how do you feel about opening the church back up and having a service? And he's like, I'm excited. And Mary's like, I want to invite my friend group. Robert Jr. should be like, no, Mom, that's a bad move to have the Salt Lake City Housewives here, Mom. But Mary's like, yeah, those ladies could use some soul searching. I just never seen a group of women act like little kids. She obviously hasn't seen early seasons of Roni. And Mary's like, yeah, I'm like to these ladies, you need God, you need Jesus, you need help, and you need your mind back. Pray for them, Robert. And Robert's like, I will. Robert Jr. at night praying for his own sobriety. And he's like, I'd also like to shoot a prayer out there to Lisa and to Meredith, whatever happened on that airplane. And then Mary Cosby gives like kind of crazy look. We bounce out of that scene. And now we're at 43 Bakery with John and Lisa mother effing Barlow. And Lisa's like, hi, good morning. I'll do a piece of lemon loaf. What are you getting, John? And John's like, I'll get a motherfucking scone because I'm a man. So they sit down, and Lisa's like moving the chairs. These chairs are like loud, John. Oh, that lemon loaf looks so good. Thank you. Do you have like a crazy schedule today, John Barlow? And John's like, just waiting to hear back on some stuff with some meetings. I I'm excited to see how the dynamic with Jack and Henry is when Jack is back from his mission. I feel like they get along so well. And John's like, I don't know. It's going to be a lot like how it was before he left, unfortunately. If it's anything like me and Ken, my brother, I came back with the idea that I was going to be this awesome older brother and I was still a total dick to him. I do love the honesty in that of like, you come back from a 2-year mission serving your God and then you're still a dick to your younger brother. Like, I'm going to beat the piss out of you, bitch. And Lisa's like, you were a douche. You're a douchebag. And John's like, still, you know me. I do know you, John Barlow. You irritated me so bad in the car the other day. Tin roof rusted. Oh my God. A couple people came up to me at BravoCon and told me to say tin roof rusted. Oh, what a gift. But John, you irritated me so much in the car the other day. And John goes, which time? Like, he's like, which time? You're always annoyed at me. And Lisa's like when I was trying to like tell Henry, like my thoughts. And then John goes, were you telling Henry your thoughts or telling Henry how to think? Oh, snap. John Barlow, snap. Whoa, John Barlow came to play with that scone today. But Lisa takes this of like, what did John just say to me? No, I was telling him my thoughts. And then you were like, oh, you should say it like this. And that bugged me so bad. Then we go to Talking Head with Lisa dressed up like a Yellowstone character in a cowboy hat. And she's like, yeah, no, things are still off with John. So I gave Henry advice, and then John corrected how I gave him advice. I am a grown woman. I'm very important to God. I am a mom, and I don't want to be corrected on how I speak to Henry. But it's not about one specific instance or one special thing. Lately in our marriage, I feel invisible. She tells John in the scene, you start saying like, maybe you should say it different. And then Henry's like, yeah, you should. And then I'm like, what is happening here? You know, I like Lisa, like, I'm losing control of my family. And John goes, okay, so should I just not say anything? No, but I don't want you to tell me how to talk. Or how I should be thinking. And he's like, I don't tell you how to talk. And I don't tell you how to think. You did the other day, John. And John's like, it was probably not telling you how to talk, but telling you from a guy's perspective. I just feel like sometimes that undermines me. In a Talking Head, she goes, I think what hurt me was I didn't feel validated in my feelings. Like, I hate when people do that. Like, I'm around a lot of girls that are committed to not seeing me, not understanding me, not hearing me. But like with John, it just feels so much bigger and so much more triggering. She tells John, like, you know, when I told you right in the moment, I said, that's hurting my feelings. Poor Henry, dude. Remember when your parents would get snippy with each other in like a car and you'd be like, oh shit. Like Henry's just like, oh damn, that hurt my feelings in front of Henry. But I like Lisa goes, I said that is hurting my feelings. And John goes, okay, but sometimes you don't listen though. Sometimes you're like your thoughts. And then she goes, sometimes you don't listen. And John goes, a lot of times I don't listen. I think probably 90% of times I don't listen. And she goes, you put that on me, but I feel like I'm a good listener. I'm like the best listener. And John like immediately starts like kind of like laughing. And she goes, John, don't even do that, John. I will tin roof rust all over your ass. Don't like her eyes to John was like, don't even do that, John. Don't even like for real. Are you even kidding me? And John's like laughing. I'm a great listener and I'm really good at like, and he goes, you're a great listener? And she goes, I'm a great listener. Are you kidding me? I'm a great listener. And then John picks up his phone and goes, what? Like imitating her and like starts laughing. And she goes, you are so annoying right now. You're so annoying. I've never seen this kind of saucy John Barlow before. Sauciness. She goes, I feel like we used to always be on the same page, like where you didn't even have to like finish a sentence. And I don't feel like we're like that anymore. And it bugs me. It's like really bothering me. And John goes, I feel like you want me on your page. And that's it. Yeah. He didn't feel like he's a Harry Potter book and she doesn't want to be on his Harry Potter pages. But Lisa goes, no. This podcast is sponsored by Walden University. Do you ever catch yourself thinking, hey, what if I could go after what I actually want and really make a difference? Well, if you do, you're not alone. And that's exactly why I want to tell you about Walden University. For over 50 years, Walden has helped working adults like you get the W with the knowledge and skills to build the future you want and make a difference where it matters most. With 100 plus degrees and certificates, it has never been easier for students to find a program that matches their goals. And with Walden's Tempo Learning, you're in control. No set weekly deadlines, no rigid schedules, just the flexibility to progress towards your degree at your own pace. Available in select programs. If you want to make a real change, Walden University. Set a course for change. Certified to operate by Chev. And John goes, if you want to get to the nuts and bolts of it, if we were not on the same page, it's because I'm not on your page. That's the way it feels. I sometimes wonder because, like I said, I saw him at BravoCon and this guy adores fucking Lisa. Even if we don't see why sometimes, even though I do, like I said, I do love Lisa. This guy adores her, man. I was watching him. I was right next to them at the Salt Lake City panel. It was Seth, Justin, and John. And this guy's filming Lisa the whole time. He's got a big smile on his face. This guy adores Lisa Barlow. And so sometimes you watch these scenes and you're like, I know this is a real thing. I would understand his feelings completely. But you sometimes wonder if you're like, hey, let's give him a little show. Let's give the audience a little show. And they're doing this with a little bit of wink. We're fine, but let's give them a little. Let's give them something to talk about, right? You know what I'm saying? But Lisa takes what John is saying in, and John's like, you don't see it, you don't. And Lisa's like, I hate that you always put it on me. I'm not putting it on you, Lisa, but I'll come to you with ideas. And you flat out said, that's not worth doing. Don't do that. And she goes, I just feel, and he goes, no, let me finish. You just don't let me finish. Just like that. And Lisa does look uncomfortable. And John goes, you always talk about feelings and how you feel and how this and that. This is how me telling you how I feel. And I think part of the problem is that we're so ingrained with business. That's all we talk about. And Lisa's like, that is something kind of realistic. When couples work together, sometimes you're with each other 24/7, that it kind of hinders growth, or you're just on top of each other all the time. But John says it's almost like there's nothing else to talk about. And Lisa's like, do you feel like that for real? And he goes, yeah, how do you not? And they're just kind of staring at each other. Silence. In a talking head, the producer goes, what do you feel like when he says that to you, Lisa? And I knew immediately before she started answering, I was like, Lisa's going to cry in 3, 2, 1. And she's like, And she's grabbing for tissue. She's like, He goes, that hurts my feelers. And real tears. In the scene, she goes, I don't normally feel like that with you, John. I feel like we talk about everything. I feel like we're not doing that as much anymore. I feel like you don't hug me as much. And John's like, yeah, you're right. I think and then Lisa's taking her straw and just banging it across her glass. I'm going to stir this drink up. It's rattling. Always time for caffeine with Lisa Barlow. But Lisa has tears in her eyes across from John. And Lisa goes, I think we both feel like we're not really seeing each other right now. And John goes, yeah, we got a communication breakdown, I guess. Intense. We cut to our second commercial break. So now we're at the Provo Park, I think, and we see Jared Osmond sitting on a bench in a tank top that is just hugging his body so tightly with aviator sunglasses on, just sitting on a bench in some tight jeans and a tight polo. And Britney pulls up with some Starbucks and she's like, hi. And he's like, hi. I brought us drinks. And he stands up from the bench and he goes, you did? You brought us some drinks? That's nice. And they're facing each other standing. And they're just staring at each other so intensely that I just imagine it really weirded out the crew. And she's like, hi. And he's like, hi. And then they hug each other tightly where he's like, I want to smell your musk. And she goes, It's an uncomfortably long hug, and then a bicyclist like rides past him and like dings the bicycle bell, like ding ding, like this is creepy, ding ding, ding ding. But she's like she's like really like hugging him, and he's like hugging her, and she goes, "That's nice, that's nice." And I'm like, "Get a room, my God, you're in public." And he goes, "Yeah, it is nice." She goes, I needed this, Jared." In a talking head, she goes, "Jared and I are still on a break." "Really? It seems like you're not on. It seems like you're full steam ahead in public." She goes, "But I'm still reeling from what happened to me on the plane, and it really means a lot to me that he reached out and is thinking about me." Way to go, Meredith. You've driven Jared Osmond and Britney closer together. Way to go, Meredith Marks. "I had no idea she would turn to the loving embrace of Jared Osmond. I'm sorry." This was a very Meredith-free episode until the very end, and I almost wonder if she got put on pause for like half an episode after her behavior on the plane. It really does lead me to believe something went down on that plane. So they're hugging each other. They're looking at each other in the eyes. I mean, it's just like, it's one of those things where I always joke about it, but it's like, they're a couple that makes love. You know, it's like, "Make love to me, Jared." "You know I will, baby. After we finish this charcuterie tray and this nice chablis, I'm going to take off all my bracelets and then I will make love to you." But he goes, "Thanks for the drink." And he's staring at her and said, "Hey, thanks for the drink." And she goes, "Yeah, thanks for the invite." She says in a talking head, "Frankly, it gives me some sort of glimmer of hope for the future for us." No, Brittany, no, Brittany. All you need to do is work on your relationship with your daughters. That's the trauma we need to heal, not the Meredith trauma, just the trauma with the daughters. Everything else, just screw it, right? So he's like, she's like, "How are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I'm great. How are you?" She goes, "Not good at all, but you go first." And I will say, I got it just from a geek standpoint, whatever cameras they're shooting this on is a higher definition camera, because this scene, as creepy as it was, looked gorgeous. Like, and it looked so high def that it was alarming at times. But Jared goes, I was still trying to put my finger on exactly what happened." And Brittany's like, "The flight and stuff?" And he goes, "No, I went to Justin's house, Whitney's husband, and Justin said, 'Oh yeah, Brittany's flirting her butt off with Captain Jason and the bow boy and all the little cabin boys running around.'" And we flash back to Brittany on the boat to JWoww going, "Hi, Muscles. Hi, Muscles. I love your accent," to another one. And then flirting, obviously, with Captain Jason. "You actually, like, steer the ship?" He's like, yeah, I do. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Brittany goes, "I'm confused, Jared, because we're on a break." Yeah, she should be able to flirt with the entire cast of Below Deck, right? But Brittany's like, "So why would you even care?" Oh my God, this is such a toxic relationship. This is like high school. Like, it's like, "Oh, do you care that I was flirting with the entire Boat Deck crew?" Jared goes, "My understanding was that we were trying to work through stuff, which obviously we're not. You know, it's like, I bought that unicorn for nothing." And Brittany goes, "It's so confusing. And I also am frustrated that, like, you haven't even..." Okay, I mean, and then Jared goes, "I am so sorry." And Brittany's like, "I'm not trying to minimize what you're saying." And Jared's like, No. I just wanted to get out what I went through." And she's like, "I went through the most traumatic experience of my life." Okay, Brittany, can we get back to the real world? I'll go with you on something traumatic happened on the airplane, but if this was the most traumatic experience of your life, I mean, I've already heard 5 traumatic experiences of your life in your short time on this show. There's no way that this was the most traumatic experience of your life. But Brittany goes, "It just feels like you didn't." And he's like, "I know, babe, I'm sorry. I care, I'm sorry. Here's the thing, Brittany. The last 2 years..." And Brittany goes, "The last 2 years, you can't commit to me." Yeah, remember that? Like, he'd take her to Costco, and then he would, like, put her in, like, the shopping cart. Remember like that last year? But Brittany goes, "And I get it." And he goes, "You run every 5 seconds. You do. What I'm looking for is somebody that's stable." And Brittany's like, "Whoa, wait a sec." And he goes, "Truth, you are a ride until it seems difficult, or, oh, this might be a problem, and then you freeze, flee, run. That's who you are, Brittany." Brittany to talking to her goes, I clearly have laid it out so many times that I want a committed relationship. And all of a sudden they're like off the beaten track and they're like walking down a hill for some reason. Like, why are we walking down hills? But Brittany's like, that does not make me unstable because he can't commit. Can he even ever stop with the mind games? We go back to the scene. Now they're by like some like water, like little river runs through it. And Brittany's like, what are we even doing? Can we please just cut to the chase? What do you want to do? And he's like, you want to have a definitive answer after you just got off a boat? You're on a 30-day. How's that fast going? How's that fast of Jared Osmond going for you? 30 days for me. And Brittany pauses. And she goes, here, give me my coat back. Can I please take that? Can I have my coat back? I'll take my 30-day break, Jared, and go. And Jared's like, okay. And then he crosses his arms as she's walking over the lake gravel back up a hill. And Jared's like, okay, that's what you're going to do. You're going to walk. She really is. She's walking up a hill, guys. At one point, she looks like that shot of Bigfoot where I was like, what is this? Like, it's like the Bigfoot where like, oh my God, Bigfoot exists. And Jared's like, that's really how this is going to end. And she's like walking up the hill far away from him. She's like, this is exactly why I break up with you. I am so tired of this. And there's like, you can see people on the like upper half of the frame on the actual path, like walking by as Brittany's like walking up the hill. And Jared just goes, awesome. Britt. And she immediately turns around, she's like 200 feet away. She's like, what? He goes, ugh. And she's just standing there as like runners are running by her. And he goes, hang on, got to get up the hill here. Hang on. And he walks up to her. What are you doing? And she goes, don't even know what we're doing. Anytime. I just want to feel safe. And he kind of half hugs her. He goes, okay, I think that's very unfair. That's all I'm saying. Also, I'm an Osmond, and this is embarrassing in a Provo park. And she goes, how is it unfair? Every single time I ask you what we're doing, you're like, I don't know. What would you like to do, Jared? I would love to figure this out. I would. She says, Jared never gives me a straight answer to the question, what are we? Where do you see this going? It's always some roundabout gaslighting answer that makes me feel like a crazy person for even wanting to know. She tells Jared, what do you want? Do you want to be exclusively my boyfriend? Do you not want to exclusively be my boyfriend? Like, I shit you not. If you were blind and you were listening to this scene, you were like, is this One Tree Hill? Like, is this 90210? This is like a teen drama. Like, if Stevie Wonder was watching this, he'd be like, oh, these people are like 18, 19 years old, right? Jared goes, you're very confusing, Brittany. You are. And she goes, okay, all right. I feel like I know the answer. This is my answer. And she's like walking away from Jared. And he goes, do you want me to be your boyfriend? And then this is weird. The camera, I don't know how the cameras did this. There must have been multiple cameras because now it's like this like weird shot of him like fully on walking towards Brittany as there's another camera watching Brittany walk away. And this is where I said it looked like Mark Wahlberg in Fear. It was like oddly, weirdly threatening, but also funny at the same time. He's like, do you want me to be your boyfriend? How about you just be stable for longer than 5 minutes? And you know what's threatening about it? Because he's not raising his voice. That is sometimes when we don't raise our voice, we're even scarier than we do raise our voice. How about you be stable for more than 5 minutes? And Brittany's like, I'm so sick of this, she says to herself. Whew, cut to commercial. So now we have a scene with the Todd father and Bronwin. And I guess that's the theme of this episode is the women and their men and the issues that they're dealing with in some way. So Todd already just looks pissed. I mean, this is potentially the grumpiest I've ever seen Todd from this angle. He's seated with, his legs crossed and he's looking at something on his phone. It looks like it's a text message. It's not like he's looking at girls' photos or something, but he already looks perturbed. And I'm like, what are we even doing here, man? You can't even put on a happy face for the cameras? And, Bronwin comes in and like, hello. And he's like, I don't think you locked the door. I don't think you locked the door. I did lock the door because it was locked, but it popped open. And so they're sitting on like Lisa Frank, which is so bizarre. He's such a grumpy mood, and it's like this colorful furniture. It's like, how can you be so grumpy and like be seated on like the McDonald's furniture, right? And so they're just like, he's like typing on the phone as they're supposed to be in a conversation. And Bronwyn's like, you can tell she's like, how am I going to talk to this man? And he's just like, huh. And then she drinks a Dr. Pepper, you guys. Once again, this is the 6th time that we have seen some sort of Dr. Pepper placement in an episode of Salt Lake City. I literally will bet my entire fortune, which is about like $3,000 to $4,000, that she will get a Dr. Pepper product. Like she will do some sort of ad for Dr. Pepper by the end of the season. And I truly believe she loves Dr. Pepper, but I also truly believe she is gunning for a Dr. Pepper endorsement. We've got to start building a potential war chest for Bronwyn in case her and Todd don't work out. Because listen, I mean, she buys the best of the best in terms of every piece of amazing clothing. She was the best dressed at Bravo, hands down. I mean, she was fun. She looked fantastic. I mean, just looked gorgeous and also just fun, right? But she's drinking this DP again. I love it. And in a talking head, she goes, after I asked Todd for some space, he was reaching out, telling me he misses me. I miss you. I grumpily miss you. I miss you so much. Like, was he sending you poems? Like, was there a softer side of Todd? Share it with us, Bronwyn. And we cut to one day earlier when she's driving and she's on a phone call with Todd. She's like, hi, what's going on? I'm just at work. It's good to hear from you. He's like, well, I saw your text this morning. You want to come home tonight? I think you're ready to come back, and I've calmed down, and it's probably a good time for you to come back. But I do expect to talk about this in person. With cameras all around us. She says, I'm not interested in him just coming home and acting like, nothing's happened here. Like I cannot play Happy Fisher-Price family. So she goes, what's going on, Todd? And Todd goes, well, moving and grooving, just rocking and rolling. You didn't think you were going to hear moving and grooving, just moving and grooving. Just moving, just rocking and rolling, just moving my hips from side to side, purr. Bronwyn goes, obviously I was really upset last week. He goes, so was I. Everything was going on, you were upset too, and I'm uncomfortable with what was said on Twitter. I'm uncomfortable with everything that's said on Twitter. I don't go on Twitter at all anymore. Now I'm on Threads because I was like, look at me, I broke my Twitter addiction, but now I'm on Threads all the time. But I can deal with Threads still in some way, but Twitter just became such a cesspool of negativity. And I was like, I couldn't do it anymore. Bronwyn goes, the bottom line here is, Todd, how do I say this? I end up feeling not good enough. She says in a talking head, in the past, Todd kept something from me that made me question how important I was to him. And we flash back to 1 year earlier saying it's actually about the real shit that went on with Todd and the infidelity that we have had in our situation. We were on a trip and he was texting someone on his iPad and Gwen saw it over his shoulder. We flash back to this scene. You start to spiral and think, I'm not pretty enough. I'm not funny enough. I'm not sexy enough. I'm not there enough, or I'm willing. I don't know what it is, but you start thinking, what am I not enough that my partner is looking for something different? And this is not him violating my trust, but it does stir all that back up again. She tells him, I am as in with you as I can be, Todd. I love you as much as I possibly can. And he's just emotionless. Emotionless. Like, I think if there was a Rock where Todd is, the Rock would be giving more emotion. I don't mean Rock, Dwayne Johnson. I mean just an actual, hard rock you find on a dirt path. But Bronwyn's like, I'm open to whatever would make you happy. That is possible for me to do. So is this about the opening up the relationship? And Bronwyn's like, if you wanted to do something different, or have an arrangement, or be open, or whatever else, I would consider it. I would do whatever I needed to do to evolve with you. And he goes, look, here's the thing. There's some new Starbucks mugs in Singapore. I've got to go check out. No, he goes, here's the thing. You and I have been together for 11 years, okay? There are lots of ups and downs. There's lots of turmoils, challenges, personally, professionally, health-wise. And the only consistent is we've always been able to talk through it. And this was a time we didn't talk through it. We both came in pretty hot. You know, I can always admit when I'm wrong, and I was wrong. Okay. He goes, I'm very happy being with you in the relationship we have. And he looks the opposite of happy. Bronwin says, I think what I was trying to make really clear is that there's no weirdness or shame around figuring out what works in your sex life. Well, I will say there is a little shame and weirdness about doing it on camera. If this dude's a business person, I would imagine this would actually affect something down the line. Because you know this guy's in a business meeting and like some business person, you know, is just like, hey, my wife watches your show or my dude watches your show. What's going on with your weird, kinky sex habits on planes? But Bronwin's like, no, Todd's like, I guess that's understandable. Understandable. I understand. And I also wanted to tell you, Todd, I did have a good conversation with Whitney, and she's willing to sleep with you, Todd. I have to sleep with Justin. No, she goes, and I talked about you and I's sex life. And he goes, it's nobody's business. I mean, it truly, like, I do have to agree with Todd on that. Like, I'm really thankful to be able to watch these scenes, but it really shouldn't be our business. But Bronwin goes, it is what's going on between you and I. And he goes, yeah, but related to me can't be left in this house. Why do they have to be shared with a group of untrustworthy friends? And I include myself in this, right? All of us, we're the untrustworthy friends, not just the immediate cast. But Bronwin's like, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that, Todd. She's getting like a little teary. I value my closeness with Todd, she says in her talking head, but it's not fair to say that I'm only allowed to have deep conversations with him. It sounds like you can't have deep conversations with him at all. You can barely get words out of his mouth. He's so gruff. But she goes, I confided in friends, and I should be able to do that. You know what I was also wondering? Who's Bronwin's friend group away from these ladies? Like, I want to know who else is in her life. Is it just like the disproving mom and Todd and her daughter? Like, who else is in Bronwin's life? Because we know she hangs out with like fabulous designers. She's always jet setting. Like, what does Bronwin's actual life look like? But she goes, this is so frustrating. She tells Todd, I have to be able to say to a girlfriend of mine, I was upset. And so to have this conversation with Whitney and I have her say, like, I know what it feels like. I'm trying to make it better, Todd. You and Gwen are the most important relationships to me, but there is also something important about these other relationships to me right now, okay? Because what matters is that we talked about it, we resolved it, and we're moving forward, okay? 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 And then she's crying. He goes, please don't cry. Please don't cry. And she goes, I know, can I cry on Gucci? Because she's wearing like this Gucci spangly thing and she's like rubbing her nose on it. Can I cry on Gucci? And Todd goes, I guess you can. I don't know. It's just fabric at the end of the day. Just fabric. We're all just pieces of fabric at the end of the day. Oh, darkness, folks. He makes Jared Osmond look like the best boyfriend of the year. My God. So now we're at Mary's Faith Pentecostal Church, the grand reopening, and we hear some hey, dun, 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 music in the background. Mary pulls her Range Rover into the church parking lot, and she goes to open the door, and it's not opening. And she's like, why is it not open? Why is it not opening? And she's knocking on the door. Mary has trouble getting into any building. Did you notice, remember Meredith's bar mitzvah? When Meredith was getting bar mitzvah, and she's like, Meredith! And Mary's outside her own church door. Let me in. Oh my gosh. Lenny. And one of the church assistants opens the door. This guy, Lenny. Lenny opens the door and runs away from the door. She comes in. Mary looks beautiful in her red dress. She's ready for church. And she says, I never thought this day would be here. I'm extremely nervous. This will be the first time in a few years that I actually have to get up and speak and say something to the congregation. We see her brushing her hair. And then Big Joe, Mary's cousin, who we've met before, comes in. But Mary tells the audience in a talking head, woo, pray for me. Pray for me. And she looks happy. And he's like, ooh, pretty lady. Come on, come on. Lady in red, lady in red. She hugs him. And she goes, oh, Lord, oh, Lord, oh, Lord. And he's like, long time coming. Long time coming. And Mary goes, you know, the nerves are nerving. And he goes, you came solo, Mare? And she goes, yeah, uh-huh. And Mary goes, Robert Jr. got in the car. And I looked at him. He was high. And I was like, no. And he goes, oh, God, Mare, oh, God. We're still taking it a day at a time, she says. And some good days and some days not so good. Today was a day that wasn't so good. In a talking head, she says, I'm a lot disappointed that Robert's not here. I'm crushed. But I know today is not his time and today is not for him. So I just have to keep trusting and believing that his time will come. Oh, God, it breaks your heart. Imagine that. It's Mary's big day in a sense, and then gets in the car with her son and realizes her son's high. But she says, you know, when his time comes, he'll be ready. She tells him, it's important for me to protect him. And that's part of it. I'm not going to have you here because I'm going to protect you. I can't have you be around these people and these cameras with you high. And she goes, you got this, Mary. You got this. Oh, God, just heartbreaking. All the ladies are going to support Mary at the grand reopening, and Heather picks up Whitney, and it's revealed that they've never been to church together. Bad Weather has never been to church together. And when he's like, can you believe that? And Heather's like, what's going to happen? We're so used to reverent. Quiet. This is not reverent, Heather. People are up dancing, clapping, like you showed the Lord how much you love and praise the Lord. It's not what we're used to. And Heather's like, so we're going to let loose. It's like me with Captain Jason, you know, and a couple bottles of wine, right? And she's like, it's very lively, Heather. And Heather goes, I'm fascinated to see Mary in this environment. Mary will get up and deliver a message. And they're like, does she sing? Yeah, she gives like a sermon. And Heather's like, oh my gosh. In a talking head, Whitney goes, I'm shocked that I'm invited back to Mary's church. Because we flash to an earlier season where Whitney's talking about the rumors about Mary being a cult leader. Probably true. I'm surprised too. Whitney goes, I didn't think I'd see the day, but I'm so grateful and I cannot wait to see her back in her element. She tells Heather, I mean, I might ask depending on who's in the congregation today, like if Lisa and Meredith are coming. And Heather's like, do you think they're going to show? And Whitney goes, I don't know. If they walk into that church, it'll be like two whores burning. it'll be like two floozies burning. They're like two witches in Salem. You know what I'm saying? Whores burn in church, right, Heather? And Heather's like, I've never been to a whore burning. Isn't that the saying, Heather? No one sweats more than a whore burning in church? Yeah, I think that's the saying. Remember the first season when Whitney's dad, the hairstylist that we have never seen again after that first season, man, he got rocked by memes. I remember we all just made fun of his hair so bad. And I think he was dealing with addiction as well. I don't think we've really gotten updates about her dad. But remember that scene when her dad was there and it was that was my first interaction with Mary's church. So anyways, they pull up to the church and we see there's a big crowd gathered in front of the church. Bronwin's walking up. Bronwin's dressed beautifully. I kind of love this. Angie K walks up and Angie knows this random lady, Debbie. And Angie's like, Debbie! Oh my gosh. And Bronwin's like, of course Angie K knows everybody. And Angie's like, Aunt Debbie, hi, good to see, Opa. And then somebody else knows Angie K. And then somebody else knows Angie K. She's like a local celebrity. And then then Whitney and Heather show up. And so it's reuniting all of the ladies. And Bronwyn's like, good to see you, chirpies. And when he's like, we're going to church together. Can you believe it? I was just telling Heather about whores. And then Heather goes, well, we've been to the Greek church together. Angie points at her. But Heather goes, and neither of you have ever been to Mary's church, right? And Bronwyn hasn't, but Whitney has. And Heather goes, did she give you guys a heads up as to whether Meredith and Lisa are coming? And Bronwyn's like, no, I was trying to pry that info out of her buddy over here. And Heather's like, Angie, did Mary tell you? And Angie's like, I have no idea. So we don't know if they're coming. And the church bells are ringing. Well, should we go get our seats, everybody? Let's get prime real estate. And then all of a sudden, Meredith and Lisa start walking up. And then there's like, oh my God, Meredith and Lisa are here. Oh my gosh. So Meredith walks up. Hello. And Heather's like, we were just discussing whether or not you guys would show up. In a talking head, Meredith goes, I don't know why they would be surprised to see me here. Maybe I'm here. I've been Mary's biggest supporter for years. Take that, Angie K. And then there's like awkward conversation with the ladies. And Lisa's like, wait, how did you not know I was coming? Heather goes, I had no idea. I didn't know. You thought just you were coming, Heather Gay? And there's silence. In a talking head, Lisa goes, at this point, I don't care who likes me. I don't care who doesn't like me. I don't really give a fuck. You know, I'm here for Mary and maybe to have a little connection with God and Jesus. And like, that's about it. Bronwyn goes, Meredith, why are you in a full boot? And Meredith goes, oh, because I have a sprained toe. And Heather goes, from kicking Britney? Where's Britney, by the way? But Meredith goes, yeah. And then Lisa goes, she never touched Britney. That's not why she has the boot. She did not ever kick Britney in the butthole. And then Lisa goes, neither did I. Neither of us touched Britney. The bells are ringing. These ladies got to get in there for the big service. Everybody's going in. Bronwyn's like, it sounds like it's starting. We should probably go inside. This is what I'm saying, is that like the scene, the pacing, there's just like these like kind of beats that should be taken out. They're like kind of, they're not needed. It's like it could be edited a little tighter. But Heather tells Whitney, don't fucking leave me with Meredith and Lisa. Come on. So everybody's coming in. I do love Meredith in a beautiful blue outfit, which is a huge boot on. He's here, thank you. I'm here. Meredith, my boot is here. And Meredith sees Mary. There's Mary. There's at the front. And so Meredith and Lisa are standing away from Angie, Heather, Bronwyn, and Whitney, right? So the band's starting up like, bound, 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 down, bound. Everybody's clapping. Ooh, yeah, I feel the spirit. Woo, woo, woo. And everybody's clapping, and they're like, he's here. I think they're talking about the Lord, and everybody's saying, like, he is here. Woo! And, like, Aunt Debbie's up on stage, hopping and jumping. And I'm talking, people are getting down, dude, getting down in Funky Town. This is, like, my kind of church. People are bopping and moving. Heather Gay is, like, acting like she's in Austin Powers. Like, shag me, baby. Oh, behave. And so Mary gets up with a gold microphone and a bedazzled Bible. Bronwyn, they passed out fans, and Bronwyn's having the time of her life fanning herself. And Mary's like, praise the Lord, saints. And everyone's like, yeah, woo. People are crying in the audience. Angie goes, I'm excited to see Mary in her element. I know her so well, but because the church was closed, I haven't seen the most important part of her life. Isn't that cool as a friend when you get to see your friend do something that you know means so much to them? But Mary is crying with her gold microphone. And she's like, oh, this mic is pretty good. Everybody's like, ha, 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 ha. Meredith is like teary-eyed. And she's like, we got new speakers. The sound's got to be amazing. It's got to be like the sphere in there. And Mary goes, I'm a little rusty at this. She's dabbing away the tears in her eyes. She's blowing out, exhaling. She goes, I just thank God for being here today. Everybody's like, yeah, and I thank God for being saved. Yeah. And I thank God with my mind. Yeah. That it stayed on Jesus. Yeah. I thank God that he's kept me for another day. And everybody's like, yeah, just another day that God has kept me in my right mind. Everybody's like, yeah, give me love. Give me peace. Yeah. Give me power. This is our place. And she's starting to now dance around. And she's like, uh-huh. And all the ladies are like teary and emotional. Mary says in a talking head, I feel like I came into the world to be a messenger for God. And I believe that with every ounce of me. I don't ever plan what I'm going to say. It just comes to me. I believe Mary Cosby 100%. I don't think Mary Cosby ever plans what she's going to say, but that's a little fascinating. And then Mary goes, I was thinking about my mom. And there's piano music. And she passed a couple months ago. And I wasn't invited to her funeral. Remember, there was like a fight over the church with her mom and Mary. And Mary's grandmother was like, the big force in Mary's life. But Mary goes, they left me out. And I was okay. It was just, I said, Lord, what about her soul? What about her soul? Did her soul make it? And there's a lot of pauses but there's a lot of pauses, but everybody's feeling it, right? And Mary's like, you have to do the right thing. You have to say the right thing. You have to think right. You have to act right. It don't matter where you are. Because when you lay down leave this earth, your soul has to pay the price. And whatever you need today, she says, I pray God, and whatever you need, my God will give it to you. Everybody's like, yeah, you mark my words. Yeah, the burden is not just yours, Bronwin. It's God's. Now she calls out Bronwin. Bronwin, it's God's. And he's got you. It was like, yeah. And Bronwin's like, in a talking head, there's been a lot of worries in my life about my parents. About how Todd and I continue to stay close together. I think I really needed to hear from Mary that I'm going to be okay no matter what. Mary says, he's going to give you peace. And I think there's peace in my horizon. I hope so. And then now she's calling out the whole cast. Like, Mary's like, thank you, Heather. It was like, yeah, whatever you stand in need of, God will give it to you. Unless you want to sleep with Captain Jason. That's not going to happen. Yeah! And then Mary's like, you too, Mayor, talking about Meredith. No matter if you were on pills on that airplane watching Crazy Rich Asians and spilling wine over Britney, God understands. Yeah! But she goes, God chose you, Mayor. He's going to give you love. And you too, Lisa. And Lisa's like, oh my God, it's my turn. This is amazing. He's going to give you a sound mind. In a talking head, Lisa goes, I think churches all have one similarity. You're going to fill a void because you have a need. And I think you can find joy in all faiths, joy in all religions, except for the Church of Satan. but we still do make donations to them too. And she goes, ha 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 ha. And the producer goes, what? And Lisa goes, when they ask, and the producer goes, wait, what? And she goes, yeah, for real. The Church of Satan, if they ask for Vita Tequila, we're like, sure. We don't discriminate. Holy shit, you guys. Like, that scene got a little emotional, and I don't think any of us were counting on, because Lisa, I was like, yeah, you can find joy in all religions, and it's really about the peace of mind it does bring to you and your families and all of this stuff. And then I was like, I would have bet my life that I would have never heard the next sentence being something about the Church of Satan, but my God, rock on. Hail Satan, right? Like, it's just the Church of Satan. Oh my God, and how much tequila is the Church of Satan? And what events is the Church of Satan like? We really would love to get our hands on some Vita Tequila. We're having a big mixer this weekend for, Satan. I did not see that coming a mile away. I wish I had known about that this weekend so I could have talked to John Barlow about the Church of Satan. But I love Lisa's like, oh my God, I have my heart open to even Satan. Like, it's a good, also Satan, I hooked them up with Fresh Wolf. Like, Church of Satan loves my boys brand Fresh Wolf. Uh-huh. And then we go back to Mary. We go back to Mary on stage. And Mary's like, my sweet Angie, where are you? And Angie goes, you're not alone, Mary. And Mary just shakes her head. And then she goes, and Whitney? That would be great. And Whitney? Let's go back to Angie. Let's go back to Angie. She goes, and Whitney, you got what you need. You got what you need. And Whitney's crying and raises her hands up. And then the music starts up and Mary's like, whoa, yeah, ooh, wow, boo-doo-doo, whatever you need, woo, whatever you need, woo. And people are like, bless him, bless him, bless them, woo, bless them, bless them, bless them. We are the one who God exists, woo, woo, yeah. Angie says, Mary is magic. Heather says, the First Lady of Faith Pentecostal can dance. Yeah, Mary's like going around like James Brown. Angie's like, it's like a spiritual experience. And then Lisa goes, I'm going to fucking die of heat stroke. The Church of Satan has great AC, but Mary's church has really shitty AC. Lisa goes, I'm like practically on fire. Oh my God, it's 2 whores burning in church. Like, wait, it's 2 whores burning in church. That's what's happening right now to Lisa and Meredith. Whitney goes, see, I called it. 2 whores sweating in church. And now Meredith, there's a shot of her kind of picking her nose a little bit, and Mary's being led away from the stage. Meredith hugs Mary on her way down, and Mary says, church is where you get deliverance. That's where you find peace. I hope that they received everything that they came for. And Mary goes, my God, in the name of Jesus, Lord, you love every one of them, as the Salt Lake City girls huddle around Mary. And Mary says, and whatever they needed, whatever they're dealing with in their head, in their life, Todd farting on women, making out with them and with each other. And Mary's screaming, give them peace. I hope that they got answers today. Lord, touch their hearts. In a talking head, she goes, that is the goal. And she's just screaming, and people are dancing, boom, da-da, hoo. I even feel it, you guys. I love this scene. Drummers drumming. Next time on The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And we see Whitney and Heather, I think, bringing a bed into Heather's fuck pad now that the daughters are leaving. So a little comedy with that, trying to get this bed in. And then Bronwin talking to Muzzy's back, and Bronwin's like, is it Todd? Did Todd upset you, Mom? Muzzy, because I can get rid of him. And Muzzy goes, I think Todd's going to get rid of you. And Bronwin's like, don't tempt me with a good time, okay? And Muzzy's like, that evil Emperor Palpatine laugh. And then Whitney says, whatever I witnessed on the plane was crazy. And Meredith goes, it's not true. And Mary's saying, we should be able to come together and understand each other. And Brittany and Meredith sitting down on a park bench. And Meredith goes, hi, Brittany. And she goes, hi. And they just stare at each other awkwardly. And that is our episode today, folks. What a long, supersized episode. But thank you so much for being here. Like, it wasn't my favorite episode, but it was still great, obviously, to watch these ladies. Come back on Friday for OC and Saturday for Bapa-doo, Bapa-dee-tee-tee, because we got a new Southern Charm episode. I hope you're having a great week. If you think about it, give me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Got to do my BravoCon wrap-up over on the Patreon. Got to get my voice back. I am slowly getting back to normal. If you listen to this episode, I don't think you would think so. But yeah, have a great Thursday. That's right. Today's Thursday. Have a great Thursday. We'll talk to you on Friday. Bye.